Greetings everybody, this is Marcus Toole and I am on the Winlo Pine plantation, and I'm actually in the stand, one of the stands of longleaf pine trees. These trees were planted somewhere between 2001 and 2002. I'm not remembering which. I'm kind of thinking it's the winter between 2001 and 2002, but I could be wrong. It could have been the winter before that. These trees are currently being used for pine straw. There's a company that comes in and they bring migrant workers every winter and they rake the pine straw under these trees. We get about $8,500 a year off the pine straw. The migrant workers have long since moved on. They've done onions and now they're off to other crops. But they left behind, and every year they do this, they've left behind some piles of pine straw. This one's under a tarp, which they were protecting. They probably had intention of getting it. There's actually a section here where they haven't raked. And I'm guessing they were planning the rake and that they just ran out of time before the onion harvest began and they had to go do that. There's some other piles around and there's other places where the straw hasn't been raked. I'm not going to bother raking straw, but what I am going to do is I'm going to get this straw that's piled up. It won't be any good next year for a commercial purpose, but I can sure use it in my orchard both as mulch now and for composting into organic matter later. And so I'm going to gather this, put it in that Easy Go, and then transport it to my van, which is over at, at the ends of these rows somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where just now, but I'll get it there. I thought I'll have the video on while I move this tarp. There's a timber rattlesnake that lives in this area, and he just might be under this tarp. And maybe we'll get to see him if he is. I kind of hope he's not, because then I have to deal with him. I won't hurt him or anything. I just will encourage him to go somewhere else. Well, there's nothing under that layer, so let's see what's under this layer. As I said, I hope there's nothing here, but if there is something here, he'll be kind of interesting to watch as he figures out where to go. I certainly am not going to try to tell him where to go. That's an interesting spider web. Hopefully that's not a black widow. Could be. Don't see him. There's a big old nest of carpenter ants in that. Well, I may not be getting the whole pile. Or we'll have to come with something to encourage them to move on. Okay, well, we will get part of that pile. Other piles we have, there's one over here. It's a smaller pile. And then of course there's some piles that's just full of branches and stuff. I want to show you longleaf pines is the main pine tree that's used for mulch, because the leaves are long. By definition, a longleaf pine has a leaf that's a foot long or longer. The needles are. And the other characteristic, as far as our southern pines are concerned, they are also characterized by these big giant pine cones. The other thing about longleaf pines is that while the loblolly pine and the slash pine are more commercially important for timber in modern days, during the days of sailing ships, wood sailing ships, the longleaf pine was just especially prized because the wood is full of terpenes, full of resin that the critters in the oceans that bore holes into wood don't like. And so it was great wood for ship making. And also longleaf pines back in the days when the turpentine industry was important, because of the high resin content of its sap, it was very prized for turpentine. And these trees could potentially one day be tapped for turpentine. We will resist doing that just because it invites pine beetles and other diseases. But if we ever need to, that's something that could be done eventually. Well, that's my conversation for now. I got to get busy with gathering up this straw for my orchard. Thanks and God bless.